The time is now 7 o'clock.
Many of you, I'm sure, remember the shock about hearing the news that Russia had invaded Ukraine. I still remember, I was like, is this real? Is this fake news? But can you believe that this happened almost 3 years ago? So there's been this major push recently from U.S. President Donald Trump to potentially end this war. But who or which countries will be involved in the discussion, that's also up for debate. 3 years, when you think about it, it's a really long time for conflict. And it seems that we still have some more time. There's a lot to figure out before we get to peace. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Wednesday, February 19th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. It is hump day. It's awfully dark, but you know what? As the days go by, it's getting less dark because spring is coming. I promise you. It's coming, just not right now. You know, it's been 3 long years for the people of Ukraine ever since Russia, like I said, basically attacked them, invaded, waged a war against Ukraine. But things have been moving along quite quickly in the last week or so since U.S. President Donald Trump began exerting his influence over the matter. So the latest move for potential peace talks began with a phone call between President Trump and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. And a little while ago, U.S. Secretary of State Mark Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, they met in Saudi Arabia for talks in the U.S.'s bid for shuttle diplomacy to end this war. Well, there, Russia apparently gave its bottom line, which was that it won't accept NATO troops in Ukraine. And of course, more talks are to come, but this is not going over well with Ukraine nor Europe, especially as Russia said that Europe will not be a part of the talks. So Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that he will not accept a peace deal where Ukraine is not a part of the discussions. Zelensky also said that Kyiv did not know about the talks, which raises further questions about the future of these types of discussions. And European leaders, they met for an emergency discussion in Paris earlier this week with a British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, saying that this is a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation security challenge. Of course, the international community wants and needs this conflict to come to an end. I mean, it hasn't only affected people of Ukraine or, Russian citizens as well. This is an international conflict because it does involve all of us. But at what cost will be the big question moving forward? So, of course, we'll bring you the latest on that front. But now let's talk about our text topic. I think it's such an interesting one today because I learned a new word. Maybe you already know it, but to me it was a little new. So, in English, I'll go first. What kind of person do you aspire to be? Kind of like a wannabe. I want to be this kind of person. Or, it doesn't even have to be a person. It can be an object. Like, what do you want to be? Like, I'm going to give you examples, so just bear with me. So who are your goals? Goals meaning like whether it comes to fashion, personality, finances, relationships. And like I said, definitely doesn't have to be a person. So in Korean, we call this 추구미. Right? So 요즘 SNS 이거 추구미 이런 내용 많잖아요. 유행입니다. 스타일, 성격, 분위기, 영어 능력 등등. 나의 wannabe, 되고 싶은 모습, 추구미. But remember, it doesn't have to be a person. Like, for example, I was thinking long and hard about this. So, 추구미, it basically means 내가 원하는 이미지, 내가 원하는, like something you want, you aspire to be, you want to be. So there are the usual suspects like demure 추구미 Or maybe you want to be chic or you want to be elegant. 그래서 그런 대화를 지금 나눠볼 건데요. For example, I had this student, true story, and her dream was to learn English so she could speak freely in English at a wine bar. That was like her dream, and I was just like, that's so specific. So she's like, that's the person I want to be. That's the image she had in her head, and she studied really, really hard. Not at that level yet, but she's getting there. She's conversing freely. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. You can send in your responses. So send them into BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. And so when you go to the platform, what you do is search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel. You can subscribe. You can log in and chat away with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050. Shop 9050, that's going to cost you 101. Also, reach me for free through Kakao Talk. We have our own channel there as well. So, 친구 찾기, add a friend, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 as well, and you can send in your messages there. Also, the ways you can listen to us, 90.5 and 103.3 FM, on the radio. That's if you're in the Busan area. Like I said, we are streaming live as we speak on YouTube. You can watch again at your leisure. We have our BEFM app where you can download and listen to our program. And on Patbang, you can catch our 와글와글 segment there as well if you download that app. And looking ahead to our morning together, we have Claire coming in for In the Now. Remember, it's all about reality TV. That's the subtitle. And we've been having so much fun with her for the past 2 weeks. We have Jennifer coming in for hour number 2, Skills 101. For our special interview today, have you caught the second season of Squid Game? And the reason I ask is because there are themes that resonate and that are really highlighted in the second series. And it's about capitalism, democracy. There's a lot of sharp critique of modern society. So, of course, this show is set in a dystopian world. But how much of this is, fiction versus reality? We're going to find out more about this. That's coming up in hour number 2 with our expert. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:07. These are today's headlines. Yoon's impeachment trial continues with March verdict likely. The ninth hearing of President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial took place yesterday, where the court disclosed the prosecution's investigation record, prompting Yoon's side to exit the courtroom in protest. Seoul vows stern response against Japan's Dokdo claims. The foreign ministry said yesterday it will take stern action against Japan's repeated territorial claim to Dokdo, as Tokyo is set to send a senior government official to a regional event marking its territorial claim to the islets. 249 teachers caught illegally selling exam questions to private educators. Over 240 public and private school teachers have been caught selling mock exam questions to private academies and earning around 21.3 billion won in 6 years, state auditors said yesterday. National Assembly pushes for K-CHIPS Act offering tax credits. The National Assembly's Strategy and Finance Committee passed the K-CHIPS Act yesterday to raise the tax credit rate for semiconductor companies following months of political debate. U.S.-Russia to work together to end Ukraine war. U.S. and Russian officials agreed to jointly seek opportunities that will arise from ending the war in Ukraine after talks in Saudi Arabia. And these are today's headlines. Check in with Sue for Busan Updates. Let's say hi to her first. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
So I am so excited to hear about your chukumi. Like, what do you want to be? Like, want to be? Is there like a certain person or idea or even inanimate object?
She's American.
Oh,
You would definitely know her.
okay. Who is she?
Martha Stewart.
You want to be Martha Stewart. Okay,
Is
so
that her last name correct?
Martha Stewart, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, right.
So what kind of trait is it that you want to emulate?
Well, she's the most amazing baker in the world, isn't she?
Is she? I don't know.
I even bought her, recipe book.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't carry out any one of them, but
So it's like Martha Stewart chukumi. Is
Yes,
that what it is?
yes.
And
So-
she's not known just for her for culinary skills. It's just like it's like a whole lifestyle. Like I've seen some of her magazines where it's just like very, I don't know, depending on the way she wants to decorate, it goes to the table setting, like a whole lifestyle, the way she decorates her home.
yeah, so she's so feminine. And I was like, I wish I could have a mom like that. But, if I were to be her, I would probably gain like 20 pounds. But who
Martha
cares?
Stewart. Interesting. All right. So we're going to jump into our first update. So the police are investigating the fire at the 반얀트리 Hyundai Busan. They have conducted a search and seizure of the construction company responsible for the project, correct?
Yes. On February 18th, the Busan Police and the Busan Employment and Labor Office sent 50 investigators to execute a search warrant at 9 locations, including the headquarters of Samjung Corporation in Dongnaegu District and other related construction companies and permitting authorities.
Yes.
The police are reportedly securing materials related to the overall construction process. A police officer stated that they will also investigate whether negligence by the main contractors or subcontractors contributed to the accident.
Yes.
The Busan police have expanded their investigation team by adding 12 more investigators, bringing the total to 55, which is equivalent to the size of an investigation task force.
Yes. So to remind our listeners, of course, this fire broke out on February 14th, right? At the construction site of this resort. And so once again, 6 deaths and so many injured. So that is the main thing, to find out what happened so it doesn't happen again. All right, let's talk about our next story. The cause of the land subsidence at the Sasangadan line apparently has been revealed finally. So what's going on here?
So if you remember, this huge sinkhole occurred on September 21st last year at the Sasangadan subway line, section 2. 2 vehicles, including a 5-ton truck, fell into the ground. The cause of the ground subsidence meaning 가라앉음, was concluded to be due to the easily eroded sandy soil combined with intense rainfall of over 40 millimeters per hour.
Yes.
And an inadequate waterproofing method was not prepared for such heavy rain. And Busan Underground Accident Investigation Committee concluded that the intense rain caused water levels to rise rapidly in
Yes.
nearby canals, leading to backflow and infiltration into drainage systems, which caused the land subsidence.
I see. So what kind of method was used?
So the waterproofing method was used, but it was unable to withstand the sudden downpour,
I see.
contributing to the incident. So Min Sung-gi, the director of the urban spatial planning, he stated that plans will be made to implement comprehensive measures to prevent recurrence
I see.
until the completion of the Sasangadan line urban railway.
Yes, because anytime we hear about these kind of, we sometimes say like sinkholes or anything like that, we get really nervous. So we
Yes.
need to know. All right, next up, let's talk about Busan City and Busan Metropolitan Corporation announcing the Sentumstage proposal, which was selected as the final winner for the Game Convergence Space Development Project. So what is this?
So, game industry is expanding.
Yes, it's
And
huge
Recently,
already.
I even saw like job positions, job posts from like Seomyeon Academy. Yeah, so Game Academy in Seomyeon. Yes. So this game convergence space is a key infrastructure that fosters game content companies, and it will be developed on the last remaining vacant land in the Centum City Industrial Complex.
Yes.
The CentumStageUp proposal was created by Gil General Architecture and Engineering Consortium. The project will be managed by Busan Metropolitan Corporation, Busan 도시공사, using a shared property entrusted development method.
Yes.
And this is where initial costs will be covered by the corporation and then recover the expenses through rental income during the entrusted period. And the winning design, CentumStageUp, was chosen for its elegant facade and flexible spatial design.
Yes.
Best suited for the Knowledge Industry Center. And the winner will be granted the rights to basic and implementation designs, while prize money of 100 million won, 1억, will be awarded to the top entries.
Sure.
And the project aims to complete the permitting process this year and begin construction next year.
So this is pretty exciting. Of course, good luck to all the participants. All right, next, let's talk about our city, which has signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the Busan Regional Post Office to offer discounts on international express mail services. So you might know this as EMS, right? We see it at the post office, and this is for foreign students?
Yes. First of all, did you used to collect stamps?
No, I did not. Why, did you?
Yes, I did, actually.
I don't want to lie and say, oh, yes, I did, but I did. But from like, are you talking about like new stamps or even where the stamp, the postage was, it was stamped?
That one.
Even that?
Yeah,
Oh.
back in Canada.
I see. So that was a thing.
I used to write letters to my family and then send them
Handwritten letters?
through, yeah.
Aw, okay. Now I feel bad, but yeah. Never was into stamps. Oh.
Well, yes.
Now we know a little bit more about Sue, though.
Okay.
Yes.
So EMS, Express Mail Service, is an international postal service that delivers mail and packages up to 30 kilograms to 99 countries worldwide.
Yes.
And this collaboration is part of a broader initiative to support foreign students.
Yes.
So the city aims to attract 30,000 foreign students by 2028. In line with this goal, the city plans to make Busan a more comfortable place for foreign students to live. And the Foreign Student Support MOU will offer 10% off EMS fees, along with exemptions from financial service fees and other benefits.
Oh, so what do the students need to do to get the discount?
So they have to present their alien registration card with a designation of study D2, general training D4, or job search D10 when they're at the post office. And additionally, if people pre-register through the post office app or internet post office before visiting, they will receive an extra 3% discount. So bringing the total discount up to 13%. But this discount does not apply to the EMS premium service.
Yes.
And in addition, the agreement also includes financial services such as opening a postal account with debit card issuance, international money transfers, and fee waivers for university students.
I see. Well, this is definitely good news. I hear that the city also is planning to promote Busan as kind of the obviously global tourism city that we are through the whole My Own Stamps service. So I'm sure you are very into what is this? This My Own Stamp service.
Okay, I might try this out.
Okay.
So it's a service that people can make their own personalized stamps with their own images or photos.
Okay.
So the post office will produce the stamps and sell them domestically and internationally. And also the service can help spread fading stamp culture.
Ooh.
So My Own Stamps featuring images of the Busan Fireworks Festival will be issued to promote the beauty of the festival worldwide from February 20th to March 19th.
Yes.
And people can pre-order the limited edition Busan Fireworks Festival My Own Stamps on the Nambu Busan Post Office website or at the postal counter.
All right. That sounds actually like a lot of fun. Like if you're getting involved, I can see the allure of that. So thank you for sharing all the local news. And of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. You as well. And here is your traffic and weather. time for your traffic and weather. There is some congestion on the Namhae Expressway from Namsanjeong Station to Deokjeon Interchange. There's some traffic on Jungangdaero from Oncheon-gyo intersection to Gyode intersection as well. It's looking quite slow on Banjonglo from Yeongsan-dae Station to Dongnae Station. And also congested on Nakdong-daero from Hadan Station to Seodaeshin Station. As for the weather, currently, it's going to go up to 5 degrees today, and there is a dry weather special alert here in Busan. So looking across the country, the temperatures are lingering at around minus 10 degrees in parts other than Busan, with winds bringing down the real field temperatures even further, and heavy snow or rain forecast for Ulleungdo and Dokdo. And by the way, right now, it's minus 3 degrees. So here was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. And by the way,
Hi.
Hi, Haley's here. I wanted to jump in without even introducing. This is Haley. She's here for News Digest. And the whole thing about Sue and stamps, our producer was saying, 굉장히 낭만적이다.
Oh, is it
낭만
romantic?
추구미. Right.
She's really trying to go for the 땡땡 추구미 thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so how would we explain Martha Stewart? And Leslie, I know, she went to jail for insider trading. But when Martha Stewart was released, she became this really trendy hip person.
Well, she got street cred.
Right, Snoop Dogg is her best friend.
They were
They're
just
crip walking
hanging out
together.
at the Paris Olympics.
Yeah, the Olympics and for multiple events. So she's just she is demure.
Is she though? She was.
She was before jail time.
Yeah. And
Yes.
so she's this homemaking queen.
Yes.
She's the queen of cooking, entertaining. See, I'm more team Barefoot Contessa. I'm more Ina Garten, who's another guru in entertaining and cooking and all that.
Right.
But that is kind of all right. So I have many things to say about this, like I do in many, many matters. So I
Which
looked
ones
up.
are you?
So many different
Okay, here we
personalities.
go.
I mean, forever and always, I will strive to be demure and continue to fail. But it's good to have goals. And then I looked up chugumi in my friend's chat room.
Yes.
So in September, my chugumi was. And this is in Korean, 도시 여성인데 주말 나들이 나온. So I live in the city, but I went to the farmer's
Love
market,
it.
in the country. So I would have my hair up in kind of a messy bun. It has to be messy bun, but really
Messy
chic.
but put together.
Exactly.
Yes,
Messy but
I
put
get it.
together in a tote bag, eco bag with a book. And then I would be wearing holding a paper bag with a baguette sticking out and some carrots and
And the baguette has to be sticking out.
Of course, it has to be
Right,
sticking
at a certain
out.
angle. Yes.
Yeah, so very casual but chic.
Yes.
And then I
get
would
it.
go home to my lovely, clean, demure, clean, also goals. 추구미, 깨끗한 추구미.
근데
Yeah.
there's something, listeners, do you know that Haley is not clean?
No, I'm not. This is why I'm it's good to have goals so you continue to strive for them and fail.
And I have photographic proof.
Yes, we do. We
She sent a
absolutely do.
photo, and the producer saw it also, and we were both kind of like,
Because these people did not grasp just how messy I could be. And they're like, but it's you. And I'm like,
깨끗한 추구미? Is that what you're striving for?
단정한 추구미. And then I would have dinner
단정
parties.
못해요.
단정, I
No.
know. So I'm once again saying it's good to have goals.
My goal.
Yes.
I
What
just
is your
want
추구미?
cat, but not me.
Like meow?
Yeah, not K-A-T. C-A-T.
Explain.
My cats have it good.
Oh.
Except
yeah.
for the really, really bad haircut that one of them just got. I'll show you later. If I can post his photo, it's so bad. But anyhow, so I want to be a CAT chugumi because they live the life. They wake up when they want. They stretch a little. They go to their scratching posts, and then they eat, and then they ignore human beings, and then they go back to sleeping. What? I mean, what more can you ask for? You're taken care of, you're fed, you're brushed.
People literally clean up after, pick up after you, your litter, kitty litter.
And then not just that, like, if there's like anything, you just do a little meow, or you rub up a little bit against a human being, and there's like extra snacks, extra catnip. I can get high on the catnip. I mean, seriously, I want to be a CET cat.
We're serious about our chukumi.
We are.
Yeah.
All right. So now we got to get serious because we are going to talk about the upcoming anniversary of the war in Ukraine. And this is, again, not such a great anniversary because the anniversary of the trainee doctors walkout, that is like the major anniversary here domestically.
Right. So many anniversaries that we are not celebrating, but definitely marking the one in Ukraine. And now domestically, the trainee years walkout. So we have passed year 1 onto year 2 of the trainee doctors walkout. So it's a little bit of a, well, where are they? So these thousands of trainee doctors, they quit. So what are they doing? Well, 6 out of 10, they've gotten jobs at private practices in these smaller hospitals and clinics. So this is according to the Ministry of Health and Welfare data released by the Rebuilding Korea Party lawmaker Kim Sun-min. So of the 9,222 residents who resigned from their respective training hospital, 56%, they found other jobs within the medical system. So that's because the government back in July of last year allowed hospitals after a while to start accepting these resignations, which kind of opened the door for them to go out and get other jobs.
Yes.
And by the way, these are the residents that passed the medical licensing exam. So they are licensed doctors, but they have not taken or passed their specialist exam. So they are not 전문의. So they do not have a specialty, but
so
they
they're
are
not like board certified. We
exactly.
Would say in the States.
They're not like orthopedic surgeons or internists, but they are doctors. So most of them are now working at a kind of a lower level clinic level 의원급 institutions, most of them in the capital area.
Sure.
About under 2% are working at still larger general hospitals. So that means, though, we're looking at over 40% who are outside the medical system. So the irony is that this policy to push to increase the number of doctors overall in the country, it has, at least for the time being, decreased the number of doctors who are working in the system.
Sure.
So lawmaker Kim Sun-min, who released the figures, called for a prompt negotiations to resume between the doctors, medical community, and the government.
Yes, indeed. Once again, this affects every single one of us. So we are going to continue to follow this story. Next, another story that's been very hot these days, this whole DeepSeek boom. So it does seem like things have calmed down a little bit. Initially, in the beginning, everybody was like, what is this? Like, it was the hottest thing, right? And all around concerns of privacy, right?
Right. So really super early adapters rush to download and start using DeepSeek and just kind of out of curiosity. And then the security concerns began to come out. So that has definitely taken caused a hit on the download numbers. And the South Korean government earlier this week, they have temporarily suspended new downloads of DeepSeek. So it means that you can't even download it if you wanted to. So this is because the Personal Information Protection Commission, or the PIPC, they made inquiries with the Chinese startup DeepSeek over data collection practices that they're doing and whether they would be in violation of the South Korean personal information protection laws. So let's delve into it. What are these concerns? And if you have used DeepSeek, does that mean your data might be at risk? Maybe. So first, the PIPC, through its own analysis, confirmed that DeepSeek did send user information to a third party. In this case, that would be ByteDance. And if you're familiar with that, that ByteDance, which owns TikTok. So the PIPC does not yet know which information or how much of it. One report put it at 1.2 million pieces of information.
Okay.
So we're going to get to that part later once they figure that out. By the way, under South Korean personal information law, if a business passes on user information to a third party, it must disclose this to the user and get their consent, which was not what happened. So the PIPC said it will thoroughly examine DeepSeek's personal information processing during this current suspension period and encourage the company to come up with measures that are more in accordance with domestic personal information protection laws.
Yes. So that's the latest on deep secure domestically. You know, next, we talked yesterday about the tough times faced by businesses and how they are trying to cut down on costs. And a trend we're seeing is micro part-time jobs.
Right. So part-time jobs are shorter by
Yes.
definition, but businesses are even cutting those shifts into shorter increments. So in Korean, that's been called 쪼개기 알바, so split
splitting.
part-time jobs. So we're not even counting them by hours, but just even shorter, perhaps. So according to Statistics Korea, the number of these extreme short workers, it hit an all-time high at 1.7 million people. So that accounts for about 6% of the total workforce. So what are these micro periods or short-term periods?
Right.
People who work between 1 and 14 hours per week. So the main reason is the rise in minimum wage, and the businesses are trying to cut down on costs. That's because the magic number for
Yes.
employers is 15 hours. So if you hire someone for 15 hours or more, you have to pay them overtime or weekend, the holiday pay.
Okay.
Pay into their pension, severance, and vacation.
So that's the magic number 15.
Exactly. But if you go under that 14 hours, then you don't. So those in the restaurant industry, because they're especially ones that depend on part-time workers, they have been calling for holiday pay to be abolished. But of course, that would make things difficult for job seekers who are trying to make a living wage, a livable wage.
Interesting.
So two sides to everything.
Because
Yeah.
I have a family member who's got a new job, part-time job at a bakery cafe.
Right.
And then they limit the hours to like 14. And now I know
now
why.
you know.
There's a reason.
There is a reason.
Yes, we learned so much. All right, next story. President Donald Trump, definitely with Elon Musk, they have been like, there's this bromance going. And this is not positive, negative, just a
They
state
have
of being.
they have a very unique relationship that you don't
Yes.
really see in official government, unofficial government levels.
So Elon Musk is like the so-called government efficiency czar. And there has been a purge, obviously, with Donald Trump heading this, a purge of the federal government.
Right. So, the convention is if you have a government job,
Yes.
it's stable. I mean, they can't
That's what
fire
we
you is what we
think.
thought. But
Yes.
until they can is kind of the lesson we're seeing. So the man, Donald Trump, he has many famous lines now, but the first one was, remember that?
You're fired.
He is really going at it.
Okay.
And this seems to be, here's the problem, causing problems because those jobs probably existed for a reason. So the administration, the U.S. administration, on last Thursday and Friday local time, they began sending out these mass firing notices across the federal, or in Korean, that would be national government.
Yes.
So they're laying off thousands of workers who have been on the job kind of on a probationary term for under 2 years. One such agency that received a massive firing notice was the National Nuclear Security Administration, the NNSA, which, by the way, is in charge of designing, building, and overseeing the nuclear weapons in the U.S.
I don't know. It just seems to me, isn't that like an essential position or positions?
You would think so. So this is where the problem began. Almost immediately after, literally the day after, the government tried to unfire the people they fired.
Okay.
So here's what happened. Apparently, a lot of these workers received an email saying that your work email has been locked out and you're fired, basically. So because they locked them out of their work email, for a lot of the workers, there's no way for the government to contact them. Yeah, so they are trying to figure out the contacts, trying to send the notice again via personal email and get their phone numbers and call them. So sources have told the media that the Department of Energy, which oversees NNSA, or even DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, which has been basically hacking across, hacking these jobs, they don't seem to have known that this agency and these individuals are in charge of nuclear weapons. So that came as a shock for many people, including the U.S. Congress. And of course, nuclear weapons are what they are. They're a major part of the country's security. The U.S. has the biggest armed forces in the world. So even the littlest hole or perceived hole in the management could pose a huge problem.
Yes. And I hear that this issue, it covers a wide range of issues from the aviation industry to even eggs.
Right. So the plane accidents, they continue to happen across North America, and you're going to cover the latest one out of Canada.
Yes.
So the Trump administration is conducting a mass firing campaign that's targeted the Federal Aviation Administration, which is the government agency in charge of flights and flight safety, including workers that are focused on radar, landing, and navigational maintenance. So personnel from DOGE, they have been visiting the FFA they visited their Monday local time, and they are trying to, and this has been very controversial, access federal databases, but DOGE is not an official government agency,
right.
So there's been questions asked to, do they have the security clearance to do so?
The authority to do that.
In a way, you can see this as these are random people who are not on government payroll trying to access government information.
I see.
So hundreds of employees have been fired at the FFA despite efforts to boost hiring in recent years. And we've covered the shortage in the air traffic controllers.
Yes.
So the FFA's current workforce is stretched thin as it is. So will they be able to handle this? Will this make flying safer or not safer for all of us?
Okay.
And then to the eggs part.
Right.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture's, their Animal Conservation Research Network employees have been let go. And we're talking about 1/4, about a quarter of them. They are the ones that handle avian influenza or bird flu.
No.
And that has been spreading across the U.S., massively affecting egg prices. And the irony, because Donald Trump's, one of his major platforms was that he will bring down grocery prices, and that's not helping. And all of this, by the way, connecting it to Korea, flight safety, and well, these wildlife diseases are not contained to just one country. So it does affect all of us in the long term.
Yes, very interesting. All this news coming out of course, Korea and beyond. So we'll check in with you in hour number 2 for Wagga Wagga. Thank you.
See you in a bit.
All right. So today we are talking about 땡땡 추쿠미. And by the way, I think somebody said, it reminds me of 쭈꾸미. 쭈꾸미 아니고요. 추구미입니다. So basically wannabe. It's not necessarily just like a person you want to be, but maybe a trait that you want to embody. So looking at some of your responses, let's see. We have, I saw Benny. Benny says, for me, still, being a smart yet kind 추구미, and his goals are to get ready for a delightful and energetic friendship and even to find a decent future roommate. Oh, are you shopping for a roommate? Do you really want to? I'm just kidding. Of course you want a roommate. So, yes, thank you for sharing that. 고수 says, 오늘 토픽을 얘기하자면 I'm on my way 스타일이에요. 지식 추구형이라고 하기도 하던데 많은 지식과 상식, 논리적 사고를 추구해요. 그래서 어른 같은 어른을 좋아하는 저는 깔끔한 어른이 되도록 노력해볼게요. So in a nutshell, he is saying he is striving to be logical and also just to be like a good person and to be quote and unquote a real adult. And what does that mean though? 정말 어른, or as he says 어른 as a joke, right? That's so difficult to become, but you know what? Goals, they drive us, so that's definitely a good thing. All right, let's get to Kat's pick for today. For today's Kat's pick, I want to cover this story coming out of Toronto. This plane that skidded and flipped over. So before I alarm you, the good news is everybody survived. Here's a clip from ABC News.
Everything, drop it!
This morning, new video showing the chaotic moments after Delta Flight 4819 flipped over on the runway at Toronto Pearson International Airport. Passenger John Nelson telling GMA about the moment of impact.
Everybody was quiet for like a moment or two, and then everybody was trying to scramble to make a sense of what just had happened. And so we released the seatbelts that kind of fell to the floor, which is now the ceiling. and helped the lady next to me get out of her seatbelt. And then you heard the flight attendants yelling, "Open the door, everybody take your stuff and, get out now," right? So they were professional. They were trying to get us out as quickly as possible. Everybody in the cabin was, I would say, relatively calm. We all worked together and got out of there as quickly as we could because we could smell fuel as we were getting out of the plane.
In this video, obtained exclusively by ABC News, passengers seen hanging upside down in the cabin, held in by their seatbelts. The flight crew seen standing on the ceiling,
Come on!
helping passengers scramble to escape.
Don't take it down! Take that phone away!
Peter Kukoff shot this footage as he crawled out. The plane with 80 people on board, seen in this footage obtained by TMZ, touching down just moments before, a fire sparking and a massive plume of smoke filling the air.
The 1 minute you're landing, kind of waiting to see your friends and your people, and the next minute you're physically upside down and just really turned around. But it sounded, it was just cement and metal,
Passenger John Nelson filming the moments after the crash.
Toronto, we just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down.
The Delta regional jet, a CRJ-900 aircraft operated by Endeavour Air, departed from Minneapolis Monday afternoon, heading to Toronto with 76 passengers and 4 crew members, landing just after 2 p.m. local time.
Just so you are, there's people outside walking around the aircraft there. Yeah, we've got it. The aircraft is upside down and burning.
Emergency crews racing to the plane, 18 people injured and transferred to the hospital, including a child. But amazingly, everyone survived.
So looking at this accident, we've been reporting on many accidents, that one in Korea as well. So this one, though, the good thing is everyone got out alive. Yes, there were people with injuries, some severe. The thing is that, yes, it skidded, it flipped over. So they're looking into whether it was adverse weather conditions or if there was some sort of problem with the landing when the plane made contact with the runway itself. Of course, it's going to take a very long time to investigate. Once again, good news. Everybody made it out. This was Kat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
We have Claire in the studio with us. It is called In the Now, but we are talking about reality shows. That's the focus, right?
That is true.
How are you, Claire?
Good morning, Wavers. I'm thrilled to be back in here again this morning.
Yes.
Third time's charm, right?
Yes.
Always a pleasure to join you all. I'm pretty good. It's pretty chilly today.
It is. Hey, so for our text topic, we are talking about 땡땡 추구미. Do you know what that is? And it's not 죽음이.
No.
As for listeners.
추구미.
So it means kind of like wannabe. But it's not necessarily just like a person that you want to emulate or copy. But there are certain things, like traits, or like you imagine yourself as this way. So some of her examples, Haley gave a great one about the whole, she wants to be this like really demure person during the week. But on the weekends, she goes to like the farmer's market and has like an echo bag and etc.
Yeah.
So is there something that you strive to be? It can be even just a personality trait.
As producer mentioned today,
yes,
this morning, just now, I want to be 꼼꼼.
꼼꼼이 추구미.
꼼꼼 추구미. Because I used to be very 덜렁대. So my mom always tell me, why are you so 덜렁대 all the time? So, okay, try not to be so 덜렁.
So what kind of efforts have you made?
Try to be, make a note to myself.
Yeah.
With using phones.
Yes.
Because I forget.
But that's important. Like I used to make mental notes, but you forget, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like I write everything on my phone, like this at
For
this
a while, I refused kind of sort of like, no, I can remember that.
You're kind of being a little stubborn.
Yeah, I'm like, I can remember that. I don't need to write down everything like grandma. But no.
I get it. That's a good one. All right, we're going to jump into our segment today. So what are we covering today?
So we had quite a bit of fun talking about global reality trends last week. So we're moving on to marriage this week.
Okay.
Also changing family dynamics reflected in reality shows.
Yes.
I've heard that many of you wavers are more married, more familiar with that.
Yes, there are at least the ones that like tune in and like chime in and text in. We do have many married people out there. Of course, singletons as well. Everyone is welcome, but it's true. We do have a lot So listeners.
So I want your interaction. I want to interact with you more.
Okay.
Please help me today.
Sure.
So, Catherine, do you feel the trend in marriage or like concept of family is changing?
I don't know. I've been only in marriage thus far. I don't know what's changing.
Like 10 after you got married, or is it different? The like perspective of looking at marriage when you were married and nowadays?
I think so. Definitely. Back in the day. Back when I got married, back in the day, many, many years ago. I mean, things were different, like compared to when I see like newly married couples now. And I think like, that's quite different. Like even the language is different. Because back in the day, people would say, oh, do you help around the house? Like to my roommate. True. And then nowadays it's like, what do you mean help? Everybody contributes. Right. So even the language is a bit different. Yes. So what are some of the trends these days?
So obviously, the concept of family has been evolving significantly in recent years, as you know, particularly in relation to dating, marriage, and overall family structures. So for example, the traditional model of dating leading to marriage and family formation is no longer a default plan for everyone.
Yes.
So instead, individuals are making more personalized choices about relationship, marriage, and family based on their own values and circumstances.
I see.
And so these evolution will likely continue as social, economic, and cultural factors shape the modern understanding of family. So is there anything comes into your mind?
Oh, yes. This one definitely. I have seen more people like cohabitating, like living together without necessarily saying, hey, we have to get married. That I've definitely seen and heard around me. So that's a big one. No?
That is a big one.
Right.
So there's few categories.
Okay.
So first one would be marriage is more like a choice.
Right.
Yeah, and so more people prioritizing their personal goals, careers. So they delaying the marriage or even some of them are opting out of marriage.
Yes.
This is significant in Korea, especially. So the marrying age is delayed now significantly.
And so this is like, we have all the numbers to back us up, like Statistics Korea, we go over their numbers like every year. And you're right, marriage as a choice seems to be on the minds of many people. Yes.
Yeah. So I checked the statistics and there's mid-30s, less than half of them are married.
Right, which even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, quite different.
Wasn't
true.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the second one would be the rise of cohabitation. So unmarried cohabitation.
Yes.
Or single person households and pet families are
Pets
increasing.
are family.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are.
They are. So that's on the rise as well. And as one of our listeners, Leslie, points out, there are a lot of DINK couples, right?
Yes.
Like dual income, no kids.
Child-free families.
I'm just going to smile and not say a word because the idea makes me smile. I love my kids. The dual income, no kids.
They're both sides.
Because if you have dual income, no kids, like all that income you can spend on yourself.
The amount
it varies. Yes. What else? What other trends?
The third one, which is significant also in Korea, is just declining birth rates, exactly related to what she just said. So the economic concerns, or maybe because of their lifestyle choices, they want to go spend more for themselves or lead to fewer children or smaller families.
That's true. And like, but some people say, hey, they just want to have one and really like concentrate all their efforts into their their one child, right? Or people who just say, hey, no, we're just not going to. Or
have
maybe
any,
have any at all. There's nothing wrong with that either. What else?
So, and also diverse family structures, which would be single parent.
Yes.
And there's a lot of grandparent-led. Also, multicultural families are growing these
Absolutely.
days.
So this is a big one. And whether we see it, on TV, there are, people who have been featured. What else? Is there anything else
the
that we should
last
take
one
note?
would be, as you mentioned, about the word help. So evolving family roles.
I like this one.
So relationships are becoming more egalitarian.
Meaning more
평등주의.
equal.
평등.
Yes.
We focus on independence,
Yes.
broader support networks. So have you heard of an egalitarian family? Or should I explain?
Oh, no. Explain to our listeners.
Yes. Also, that means the role in family-wise, egalitarian, means that roles and responsibilities are shared more equally rather than being strictly divided based on traditional gender norms.
Yes.
So, for example, both partners might contribute, not helping,
Yes.
contribute equally to household chores, parenting, and financial decisions. But especially with the last one, I think it's quite a complicated matter.
Yes.
Because everyone's situation is different.
Right. The whole do you contribute? Do you help? I mean, I don't know what kind of language your family uses,
Yes.
but for our family, we try not to use the word help. And it doesn't have to be equal either, in my opinion.
No, yeah.
Like I did this, so you do this. That's not, at least for us, that's not how it works. It's I end up doing most of the cooking. So he ends up doing a lot of the other stuff, but it's not just like tit for tat. I think for that if it comes to that, it's like, I don't know, is that family or is that like a contractual relationship, right?
Yeah. I don't think it can be equally divided.
And it doesn't have to be, I think.
No.
I hope not. Right.
What are the waivers doing?
I don't know, but
So,
I see comments. I see comments. Okay. I see comments coming up like, child-free sounds like riding on a unicorn on cloud 9. Oh, Layla, I know you love your child. So, Umberto, yep, me, one and done. Also with Leslie, one and done, meaning just having one child and then you're done.
Done.
Yes. So, what about in the media though?
So there's
Yes.
So obviously it's changing in real life, and medias are always like mirroring the real life changes.
There's a lot of shows these days, and I'm like, oh wow, that's on Korean TV.
That's exactly right.
I welcome it because it's not just about like single man meets single woman
Getting married.
som타고, like they date and they get married, it's not always like that, right?
뭐 손잡았어. So you get to
like
get
it's
married.
a big deal. Like, oh my god,
손잡았어.
there
Now
was
you're locked
there
in.
was physical contact. Oh no,
Now you're
Right.
locked in.
We're beyond that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the shift towards like more independence, non-traditional family structures.
Yes.
Are surprisingly showing in Korean shows as well. So it's personal fulfillment. And all of them are widely represented in entertainment.
Yes.
The first one would be reality dating shows shifting away from marriage focus. There still are.
There are, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's surprising to see those shows like 솔로지옥. There's no word of marriage is mentioned in that show.
At all. Well,
so that's
yeah.
more chemistry.
Yeah.
And not even a long-term relationship they're looking
Right.
for. So that's really rare to see in
It
Korean
shows
shows.
you the changing nature of Korea, though. Oh my goodness. Can we do like a part 2?
Yes.
Is that okay? Yes. Because we have much more to cover on this. So we will save the rest for next week, okay?
Yes.
All right, Claire, thank you so much.
No worries. Have a lovely day.
All right, Claire, you as well. So we will continue this fascinating discussion next week. In the meantime, how about this one? What is Love by Hadaway. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로. 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks.
There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Yoon's impeachment trial continues. March verdict likely. The ninth hearing of President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial took place yesterday, where the court disclosed the prosecution's investigation record, prompting Yoon's side to exit the courtroom in protest. The record submitted as evidence said President Yoon allegedly told the chief of police to arrest all lawmakers entering the National Assembly on the night of December 6th, with a list of 15 individuals to be arrested. In the meantime, the Constitutional Court confirmed the next trial for tomorrow as planned, despite Yoon's request for a postponement due to scheduling conflict with his insurrection trial. Seoul-bound stern response against Japan's Dokdo claims. The Foreign Ministry said yesterday it will take stern action against Japan's repeated territorial claim to Dokdo, as Tokyo is set to send a senior government official to a regional event marking its territorial claim to the islets. The ministry's spokesperson reiterated that no territorial dispute exists over Dokdo, as the islets are clearly South Korean territory in terms of history, geography, and international law. Some Japanese municipalities are planning to hold an annual ceremony commemorating Takeshima, the Japanese name for Dokdo, on Saturday. A vice ministerial level official from the Japanese government is expected to attend the upcoming event. "249 teachers caught illegally selling exam questions to private educators. Over 240 public and private school teachers have been caught selling mock exam questions to private academies and earning around 21.3 billion won in 6 years, state auditors said yesterday. The Board of Audit and Inspection, BAI, released its findings on collusive ties between public and private educators, with the transactions typically involving private academies contacting authors of EBS textbooks or teachers in positions to create mock exams, getting paid depending on the type and difficulty of the questions. The BAI added that it has requested disciplinary action against 29 teachers whose misconduct was deemed to be serious, and asked the Education Ministry to take measures with the remaining 220 teachers. National Assembly pushes for K-CHIPS Act offering tax credits. The National Assembly's Strategy and Finance Committee passed the K-CHIPS Act yesterday to raise the tax credit rate for semiconductor companies following months of political debate. The revisions to the Act on Restriction on Special Cases concerning taxation, large and medium-sized companies will receive 20% in tax credit. U.S. and Russia to work together to end Ukraine war. U.S. and Russian officials agreed to jointly seek opportunities that will arise from ending the war in Ukraine after talks in Saudi Arabia. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov agreed to form a high-level team to support peace talks. No Ukrainian or European officials were present at the meeting. The meeting comes amid concerns that U.S. President Donald Trump may push for a peace agreement that favors Vladimir Putin. This was News Highlights. It's time for waglwa글, which means Haley's back.
Hello, hello.
All right. So we have been talking about the chugumi. And by the way, Haley and I were always fine when we get to the office. The curtains.
Or,
the dust.
It's the dust and the inside. Well, we are in an airtight studio, which means the air just stays.
Yes.
How long has this air been here? I don't know.
But we clean the mics.
We're okay. Yeah, we sanitize and we wash our hands.
So
and,
we're not sick. I'm not sick.
We're very hydrated.
Yes.
The amount of hydration that happens is just
insane.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, for our first story, I thought we were past the age of inappropriate job interviews or questions from those job interviews, but apparently not. When I saw this, I was like,
you thunk wrong, didn't you? We were talking about this, about this adjacent earlier this morning at about, 6:30.
Yes.
We were talking about like flight attendants and the whole Delta Airlines issue, and they were just how they got everybody out.
Right.
But when I went in for kind of a requested interview, I didn't even apply for the position. They had me write down my height and my weight, and I was like, this is some kind of a human rights violation. and the guy was
Especially
like,
the weight. I'm like,
I know.
I
was like, seriously, what's your weight? And he said, oh, you're too short to be a flight attendant. And I wasn't applying to.
And you're
I was like,
I'm not even applying to be a flight attendant.
Did I ask? And I was like, well, yeah, because I can't reach the overhead bin. Like, of course I'm too short to be a flight attendant. But like, why? So the things that you were asked to do in job interviews 10, 20 years ago, apparently still happening, including a literal dance during a job interview.
Was this
a dancer?
Like an entertainment company?
No, this was at Seoul's 강북구 district. So this was at a public government entity for announcers, like newscasters. Yeah.
Why would they need to dance?
That's a great question. I mean, we just had our BFM announcer in. And, her job involves mostly sitting and talking. Right.
Yes.
So this is according to a CBS No Cut News exclusive. This was an official part of the interview for the 강북구 district office announcers. Applicants were asked to dance to a K-pop song, but it was not disclosed as a part of the job opening or the job posting notification. So they came in having no idea this was going to happen. But why? It was a part of the a category of seeing if the applicant had the ability to respond to emergency situations.
So in Korean, that would be?
위기대처 능력. I mean, you just had a little bit of an emergency situation with the thing in your throat. Did not involve dancing.
No, it did not. I was waving furiously to the producer, like, mic down, mic down.
Communication would be a part of the 위기대처 능력, like promptly thinking on your feet and maybe talking without a script, but why dancing? So applicants say that they weren't forced to, and they were told that, if you don't want to, you can opt out at this particular part. But if you have ever been to a job interview where you really want the position, would you opt out? there's a fear, right? There's a fear that it could weigh negatively or it could weigh against you in the entire application process.
But I would be thinking, cat's brain, I would be thinking, is this a test to see like if I'm willing to bend the rules or like go against my personal grain?
Right. So it's not just about my dancing ability. Like would it be about like whether I'm a person who's like easy to work with or difficult to work with? So and it seems that some of the interviewers, the people who were judging you, said they weren't really comfortable with it either. They even apologized to the applicants and said, I too am embarrassed about this, about having to make you do this.
So now, what could dancing possibly have to do with one's ability to be an announcer? I'm just curious.
Right.
Maybe there's a good reason.
There is a reason. I don't know if it's a good reason. I'll let you be the judge of that. The district office said that the announcer from this process who's hired will work for the district's YouTube channel. And one of the contents that they're coming up with is the district idol, 우리 구 idol. So apparently this particular part was stipulated in the job posting. Under the category you would be partaking in our YouTube production and appearance. But then it didn't say dance. And because for some people that could be a deal breaker. Yeah. Interesting. So upon controversy, the district office later apologized for not being considerate of the applicant's feelings and for not notifying this fully, not disclosing this completely ahead of time.
I guess. But then that goes kind of against what they might have been going for. Because like if they're trying to test your stress under pressure,
right?
Can you keep your composure? Then if they told you ahead of time, then that wouldn't really be.
But it's also, I get it, but then don't put up a job posting for announcer, put it up for entertainer. Then, fully disclose what I'm supposed to be doing.
Very uncomfortable, I'm sure. All right, next. A teenager in Mexico was made a subject of serious school violence, but it was for her love of K-pop. So what happened?
Right, so this is a case of 13-year-old girl Fatima who was allegedly pushed from the third floor of her school building by a peer. And this attack was motivated by her due to her love of K-pop music. So according to local reports, one of her classmates allegedly pushed her from several meters high. She is in critical condition now, causing a series of serious injuries, including a fractured pelvis.
Yes.
And her father reported that his daughter had already warned him and the school about this bullying that she suffered from at least 3 classmates. However, the authorities at the school allegedly ignored this.
And how did K-pop make her a target of bullying, though?
It made her different, it seems. So for, of course, many children and teens in Korea and across the world, K-pop is music, but it's a lot more than that. It's a way of self-expression. It's a way of finding community and feeling like a part of that community. But unfortunately, sometimes ignorance and, intolerance can turn that into a reason for discrimination and bullying. Like you don't like the same music that we like. You're weird, quote unquote. So that's the unfortunate case if we take everything at face value. But K-pop, once again, it is beyond music. It's a community. So fans have gathered to demand justice. There's a hashtag Justice for Fatima going on social media. There's also been a donation drive or multiple donation drives started for the family. Even the South Korean embassy in Mexico, they've joined in on the condemnation of this violence.
Right. And we see a snapshot of this on the internet right now. So that's so unfortunate that, whether it's K-pop or for the love of any music genre, that you would be singled out and bullied because of that. All right. We've been talking about health-related issues for children and teens. And this is important, especially as obesity is becoming a serious problem for especially, I hear, here in Korea.
Right.
Yes.
So snapshot, over a quarter, 25% of male children and teens in Korea are obese. So this is according to the Korean Society for the Study of Obesity, or KOSO, K-O-S-S-O. So once again, over 25% of male children and teens obese. 12% of female children, so girls, are obese, and the total average now comes to 19.3% for all children and teens. This, by the way, a huge jump from just 9.7% in 2012. So we have doubled in just about a dozen years.
Yes.
So the Education Ministry's obesity study also puts this in the similar range. Elementary, middle, and high school students' obesity rate.
Yes.
This goes up even more, though. Almost a third, 29.6%.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is clearly, number one, we're seeing a gender pattern, but also region. People kids living in rural areas had higher obesity rates than those in the city, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Right. So, by the way, a study of obesity in children and teens across East Asia. So let's expand that regional scope. We're talking about South Korea, Taiwan, China, and Japan. It showed highest obesity rates for minors in South Korea out of all those, the entire region.
Yes.
So, and then more concerningly, there was a decrease in kids that have normal weight and overweight in both genders. So that means extremes.
Yes.
Underweight and obese children are on the rise and, a decrease in the middle.
Sure.
Of course, if you compare that to the rest of the world, it's not as high. I mean, it's not really a consolation, but just putting everything into perspective. So we had that graph up just moments ago.
Right.
OECD data from 2018. Keep in mind that 2018 is the latest data, but this seems like eras ago because that was pre-COVID. And so many things changed.
Right.
But the US back then was the most obese nation in the world, 40% rate of obesity. And this is for adults, by the way. South Korea was, you have to look very towards the bottom.
Yes.
Second to last at 5.9%. But once again,
still,
it is concerning because we're seeing such rapid increases.
That's right.
Well, why experts call for, healthy eating habits and a more active lifestyle. But of course, that has to be coupled with larger policy changes in public health to help people have more resources and combat this.
Right. So, that graph we had up there, it's kind of, I don't want to say misleading, but of course, we know that, in the scope of things, Korea may be down on that list. But once again, looking at the internal numbers, that's kind of startling.
More recent numbers.
Yes. All right. So next up, we're going to talk about one of your favorite topics, reading.
Right. And speaking of chugumi, celebrities are often, they're idol. We call them idols for a reason. People, the young people especially, look up to them.
Sure.
And sometimes that can be, good or bad, but I love it when they use their influence for good. So who influences your reading picks? Who is your, book influencer?
Yes.
Maybe the Nobel Prize Committee, the bestsellers, the Bookers, the Pulitzers. But maybe Chang Won-young and G-Dragon.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
That is the case. So this text hip has been kind of the buzzword in the publishing industry, which makes reading hip and cool. It is spreading across people in their 20s and 30s.
Definitely
and
a good thing.
Celebs are throwing their weight behind this trend.
Yes.
So Chang Won-young, since last year, she has been the what the publishing industry, the light in the soul, 빛과 소금, the beacon of light in the publishing industry.
Right.
One of the biggest unintentional book influencers.
Okay.
So this was on a YouTube talk show last year with a comedian Chang Do-yeon. Chang Won-young mentioned that she was reading the book. She really likes the book. 마흔에 읽는 쇼펜하우어. So this is a Korean book. It translates roughly to reading Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, at the age of 40. She's clearly not 40.
Obviously.
But she's in her early 20s. But she said, if I read this and understand this at the age of 20,
Yes.
imagine what I can do. That girl's very clever.
She is.
Right. So that book, after she mentioned it, shot up to the bestsellers list. And by a philosophy book, normally wouldn't top
any list. Right.
Unfortunately so. And now she has a new book on her reading list, 초역 부처의 말, that she also mentioned on a different TV program.
Okay.
This would be the abridged and translated words of Buddha. So she's really going in for nonfiction philosophy category.
Yes.
This book recently, number 1 on the bestseller list, pushing past Human Acts by 한강, 소년이 온다. So yeah, she has, of course there's a time gap,
Of
but
course.
I'm just going to throw a generalization. She might be more influential than the Nobel Committee.
That young woman has power.
She has power, and I love that she's using it for reading. Also, pianist Im Yoon-chan, he recommended this book, The Diaries of Yuri Igorov, which was translated by the owner of an independent publisher here in Busan.
Ooh, okay.
So this book sold, after he mentioned it, 350 copies, and that is a lot if you're talking about just an independent publisher.
Sure.
Chang Jae-yeol's Reconnect, this book comes with GD's recommendation, endorsement, and that took it to the second edition printing immediately after the book was released. So celebrities being book influencers.
Yes.
So we and readers, the publishing industry, we want this attention to go above and beyond just that one particular book. So the industry is calling for themselves and the readers to have a more balanced and diverse perspectives on reading.
Right.
Yes.
Leslie wanted to chime in that Namjoon, we know who Kim Namjoon is, right?
Yes. RM.
That he has mentioned so many books over the years that there are several of these Namjoon book clubs. So like he was doing it years before, but definitely now it's more of a trend. Anything that gets people of any age to read more, that's a good thing.
Right.
So, yes. Well, thank you for all the stories. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, now back to you, the waivers for our updated traffic and weather. It's now 19 past the hour. Here's your traffic update. There is some congestion on 중앙대로 from 서면 intersection to 범내골 intersection. It is backed up on 낙동남로 from Myeongji interchange to Hadan station. Also looking quite slow on 충장대로 from 중앙동 intersection to Chungjang overpass. It's currently -2 here in Busan. It's expected to go up to 5 degrees. Still quite cold. There is a dry weather special alert here in Busan. Across the country, we have temperatures lingering around -10 with winds bringing down the real field temperatures even further. So heavy snow or rain is forecast for Ulleungdo and Dokdo. This was your traffic and weather. As requested by Benny, this is Bounce by 조용필.
그대가 돌아서면 두 눈이 마주칠까 심장이 바운스 바운스 두근데 들릴까봐 겁나 한참을 망설이다 용기를 내 밤새워 준비 한순 해보 고백해도 될까 처음 본 순간부터 내 모습이 내 가슴 울렁이게 만들었어 Baby you're my trampoline You make me bounce bounce 수많은 인연과 바꾼 너인 걸 사랑이 남긴 상처들도 감싸줄게 어쩌면 우린 벌써 알고 있어 그토록 찾아 헤맨 사랑의 꿈 외롭게만 하는 걸 You make me You make me bounce 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 망설여져 나 혼자만의 감정일까 내가 잘못 생각한 거라면 어떡하니 눈물이 나 별처럼 반짝이는 눈망울도 수줍어 달콤하다 내 입술도 내겐 꿈만 같은 걸 You make me 벌써 알고 있어 찾아 헤맨 사랑의 꿈 외롭게만 하는
Welcome back, everybody. So that was a good one from Jo Yong-pil, of course. Today we've been talking about the various personality traits or things that we aspire to be in Korean right now. Trending is the whole 추구미 thing on social media, especially. So looking at some of your responses, well, some of you have mentioned that, let's see, you want to be more diligent in finishing what you have set out to do, like reaching your goals. That's a good one as well. And also people commenting on the fact that whether it's you have chosen a roommate, aka spouse, or whether you choose to be single, it's definitely a personal choice. So lots of commenting on our previous segments as well. And definitely, I see a new person here on our screen, Moraine Lake, who says in Canada, childhood obesity is a problem. Indigenous people in particular tend to have higher obesity rates. However, eating disorders are a greater concern than obesity. Yes, indeed. Eating disorders can be devastating, of course, with obesity as well. Not good either. So anything that can tackle either and both of those types of issues, obesity and even, yes, being underweight or having an eating disorder. And by the way, you don't have to be underweight to have an eating disorder. You can look perfectly fine on the outside and still have one of those disorders. So, yes, good point that you have let us know about. For now, though, we're going to get to our special interview. Squid Game 2. Have you seen it? Or maybe you're like some of our other listeners out there who are waiting for season 3 and they want to catch both together. So, if we look back on season 2, oh, by the way, I hope it's no spoilers. Well, maybe we might have some spoilers. Well, there has been this discussion of there being a lot of sharp critique of modern society, particularly capitalism and power structures in the second season of Squid Game. And so the first season really captivated audiences worldwide by exposing economic desperation and social inequality through a brutal survival game or a series of games. And now this season delved even deeper into the intersection of capitalism, democracy, these type of ideas, raising questions about fairness, opportunity, and corruption. Of course, this is fiction, but how much of it reflects reality? Let's find out more about this, have a discussion. We have Dirk Matten, who's a professor and Hewlett-Packard Chair in Corporate Social Responsibility in the Schulich School of Business at York University, also visiting professor of business organizations and society at NYU Abu Dhabi. So let's say hi to him. Hi, welcome to our program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Professor, Squid Game, of course, for season 1 especially, garnered global attention because, it was really, the sets, the visuals were mind-blowing, plus, the critique of capitalism as well. So, how does season 2 expand on this theme? What new issues does it bring to light? And by the way, have you seen both seasons?
Of course I have. And I was fascinated by season 1, which basically took the world of computer games into a real environment where actually people physically died. I think that was the appeal, and that draw a lot of viewers in. Yet the systemic aspects, which then become much more clearer in season 2, were a little bit subdued. There was the context of Lee Jung-jae's character, of course, framing it a little bit, but season 2 delves right into, let's say, the daily misery and the behavioral patterns of the future participants in the first 2.5, 3 episodes, which have nothing to do with the game, really.
Indeed, indeed. And so the show suggests that people participate in capitalism, not out of greed, but because maybe there's just no other choice. That's kind of the suggestion there. So how does this relate to real world issues such as job insecurity, healthcare costs, even financial instability?
The interesting thing in this second season is that no one joins to get rich because of positive aspirations. They are all escaping little tragedies, if you think of healthcare issues, but also behavioral patterns like high household debts, gambling, speculating in cryptocurrencies, and all sorts of other personal, you can say, weaknesses, mistakes. They are forced to join the game to address some misery in their lives.
Indeed. A great point that you make, Professor. And some might argue that Squid Game, that it actually critiques democracy. I mean, showing how the powerful manipulate rules to kind of maintain control. But in what ways do you think the show reflect real political and economic systems? Because for some of us as we watch, of course, some of these nuances or themes may have stood out to us, but maybe some kind of flew under the radar.
I think the big irony in this second season is, of course, the long debates among the participants whether to vote to enter the next game. And this all has the veneer of democracy. Everybody has a vote.
Yes.
Everybody can decide. But what are their options, really? The option is to either leave the game and return to poverty with a little win, but not enough to address the issue, or continue to risk being killed. But also pursuing the hope, the faint hope to win. And as long as season 2 goes on, this hope to win, this hope that I will be spared, that I will be the winner, dominates the decisions. And in that sense, the Squid Game 2 season really makes fun out of democracy, because in the real world, in most liberal democracies, what options do we really have? They are all within the system. There have been elections in the US. You can explain the success of the winner by promising an alternative world. Now, that will not happen, as we see. And you see similar things going on in other parts of the world. Germany has election this weekend, where people just promise you nuances, but the same game.
Yes. And even with the voting, excuse me, at the end of every game, you're, like you said, Professor, you're voting between returning to maybe a very, dangerous or dreary life, going back to, just economic hardship versus, kind of betting on that hope that you might actually win at the end. And then, but the whole voting thing, like many people thought in many elections around the world, whether it's the U.S. presidential election, you're given two choices where you really don't want to make a choice, but you kind of feel like you're forced to. Do you think that, as at least subconsciously, that this resonated with a lot of people, having two options that are probably not great options, but still having to choose between those two options?
I think what resonates with people is that ultimately the players in the game cave in to their fears.
Their fears.
Fear to return to the dreary life, to debt, to misery, when they have the chance of bettering things, of ending up as the winner, and so on. So that's a very interesting thing. The second thing is also, I think, very endearing in season 2, that you have much more interactions, coalitions, endearment among the players. There is a very strong streak of humanity, of creating family. They are all even family members, mother-son relations. There's a pregnant young girl. There are these human relations, and then what really dominates and tops everything and wins every time is the desire to win more money.
Yes, indeed.
And this dreary reality which made them join the game in the first place.
Well, some critics, they argue that, this second season, that it maybe focuses too much on the players' kind of real lives instead of kind of more so the games, maybe as compared to season one. Do you agree with this, argument that, why are they focusing too much on the personal lives or the human side?
I think the entertainment value of season one was really the games.
Yes.
And the way it was played out. And yes, season two has it, but it gives a long introduction and contextualize this in a different way. Some viewers might not like this. They watch these things for other reasons, for entertainment, for, in some ways, escape of their reality. That's a big effect of watching and binging on these seasons.
Yes.
So in that sense, I think that with some viewers, these first three episodes might not resonate too well. The Guardian in the UK had a commentary which was kind of very critical of that. But I think from the perspective, and if you read interviews with the director, of course, you get a sense that he did the second season to amplify the original message he had in mind already with season one.
Indeed. And so, although obviously Squid Game is fictional, I think we mentioned this already, the fact that some people are really struggling economically, and why do you think these themes, though, or do you think this is a reason why? Because it strikes so close to home that it seems to resonate with so many people on different levels. But the economic hardship factor.
Well, there are two things here. The first thing is that you see that these people suffer from poor health care, from household debt, from lack of public institution and social infrastructure.
Yes.
And you ask yourself, over the last 40 years, and it's a theme today in many liberal democracies, lowering taxes and stripping these social services, or just look what is happening in Argentina at the moment. These things are not just there for austerity or balancing the budget. There's a deliberate attempt to force people to join the labor force at any rates, at any wages, to embark on this capitalist game because they have no other option to survive. I think that's a very important point to see here. The second thing, and that's, I think, where Squid Game 2 is really a very unique cinematographic contribution to this spate of movies who have questioned capitalism and unequal distribution of wealth and these things. Most of these movies focusing on the elite, on the dark characters behind the scene that manipulate us. Squid Game turns the perspective on its head and looks at the players, at us, as it were, and asks the question, why do we play this game? Why do we join this? Why do we are part of a workforce that often literally is exposed to death and is very, in many ways, dystopian reality. If you think of call center workers or even junior investment bankers, some of which committed suicide or died on their job.
Yes. Well, with season 3, I believe it's going to be released in about 4 months or so, coming up real soon. What do you expect to see, or hopefully, maybe you're hoping to see, any expectations for the final and third season of Squid Game?
Well, there are two things. The season 2 ends mid-game, so the game will continue, but it also ends while a significant amount of players, led by character of Lee Jung-jae, try to get behind the scenes, try to establish a little revolution, as it were. And this is in full swing. Now, how will this be dissolved? Given what we have seen so far in the 2 seasons, I don't expect this to be successful in the sense that this will change the game, but it will uncover, I would suggest, the hollowness and the simplicity of the motivation behind the game. How that will pan out, I have no idea. I'm very curious. And I think the games will continue, and there will be winners and, of course, a lot of losers. I think the game, the way this is set up, will get to this very inevitable dystopian finish.
Indeed. Well, we're going to find out, I guess, in a few months' time. But thank you so much for breaking it down for our listeners. Thanks for joining us today, Professor. We do appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
This is Professor Dirk Martinez. We delved into some of the themes and the factors that, really spoke to us through this series. And now let's take a short song break. This is Dangerously by Charlie Puth as requested by Taejin.
This is gonna hurt, but I blame myself first, 'cause I ignored the truth. Drunk off of that love, my head up, there's no forgetting you. You've awoken me, but you're choking me. I was so obsessed. Gave you all of me, and now honestly I got nothing left. I loved you dangerously.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is time for Skills 101, which means Jennifer's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are
what
you?
A great way to start to Wednesday morning.
Yes. So I hope you've been well.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm getting a bit of a positive energy from the show.
Good. That's what we aim for. So, what are we going to dive into today?
Okay. Have you noticed that as we get older, we tend to ask fewer questions or no questions at all? Yeah. When we are kids, we constantly ask why about everything. But as adults, we kind of just accept the information as it is. Okay.
I was thinking about what you were just saying, and this is not to make me sound crazy at all, but sometimes I have conversations in my head, like someone is saying something, but like I don't even want to bother asking a question. So in my head, I'm thinking, 왜 저럴까? Like, I ask myself. I do in my head, but then like you're right. I don't bother like being so inquisitive and saying, why?
But sometimes
Explain to me why.
Unless we feel pressure to ask questions, we don't, right?
Right. Is that our topic today?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. The power of questions. The ability to ask good questions is one of the most valuable skills we can develop. Yet many of us stop using it over time. We almost forget.
Absolutely. Because I don't know. Why do you think that is? I mean, is it because like we've lost that like child's kind of curiosity? We're not young at heart anymore?
That's kind
of sad when you think about it.
I know. A few reasons. First, we are taught that having the right answers is more important than asking good questions. Think about school, like education system. Kids are rewarded for good answers, like correct answers. Not necessarily for curiosity or innovation.
That's so true, though, because like in American culture, like especially in university, I asked a ton of questions in class. It's very like kind of, it's an open forum. It's expected. I remember in high school, even one of my teachers said, I expect 2 questions for you from each and every one of you in every class. So we would be like thinking like, what question am I going to ask next, just to stay relevant. But you're right. Like, here, like the culture is like, it is changing though. It's evolving.
It's changing,
right.
but it's still like, because I remember like, also when I was living abroad, I was always encouraged to ask questions.
Yes.
Like professors would say, oh, no question is silly question.
Oh, that is so
questions.
true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what
second,
else?
as we grow up, we start assuming we already know enough. So we stop questioning things. We don't bother. Right?
We're like, well,
this is good enough.
Good enough. I get it. Okay, I know. Next, right?
We settle for it.
Yes. So, we settle, and then like I don't know, like you mentioned earlier, like sometimes we might think like, oh, is this silly? Is this going to make me sound stupid?
Yeah, we always worry about that, right?
Yes.
And third, with AI and technology giving us instant answers, we don't feel the need to think deeply. We can always use search engine, right?
And all the search engines are using like AI.
Yeah.
Like even with the thing, the search engine, it's like, I wonder how many times people search like on the internet per day. I do lots of searches because of work.
Me
but
too.
I wonder. Yes. So yes, tell us more.
Yeah, and because we rely so much on technology, we are thinking less and less.
True.
And we just
dumber.
accept that answer,
Yeah.
and we trust that answer, right? The process of deeply analyzing a problem and coming up with solutions it's getting skipped altogether.
I see.
It's worrying because critical thinking is what helps us grow, adapt, and truly understand the world around us.
That's so true, though. I mean, can you imagine just not having access to our phones, computers, just for even one day?
That will be a disaster.
Like, I get nervous, like, heart palpitations, just like thinking about it, right? Like, oh my gosh, like, I can't imagine. But yeah, that's how dependent we are.
Yeah, and asking ourselves questions is just as important as asking others. Self-reflection is key to growth. Questions like, why do I really want this? Why do I feel this way?
Okay.
Help us understand our own thoughts and motivations.
Okay, so I wasn't crazy. I was like, I asked questions in my head. I'm like, but why? I don't verbalize it sometimes. But, that does remind me of like, great leaders and thinkers and people along those lines. They do ask sometimes really powerful questions, right? Instead of saying like, oh, this is just how things are and accepting it. people might be asking of themselves and to others, like, how can this be improved?
And how can we make it better?
Yes, yes.
So in fact, many breakthroughs in history happened because someone asked a good question. Like Einstein's theory of relativity started with a question. What would happen if I can travel at the speed of light?
So if we bring this, what you're talking about, into everyday life, like how can we make questioning, and not in a rude way, like, but questioning a kind of a habit, a routine.
Okay. Here are 3 simple ways.
Okay.
First, challenge your assumptions. Instead of taking things at face value, ask, is this really true? Or what if the opposite were true?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen. I mean, not all search engines give you the correct answer.
That's true. We got to keep that in mind. Yes. And so I think that's a great way of thinking. Just because something is widely accepted, it does not make it true, right? What else should we know?
Ask open-ended questions.
Okay.
Instead of, did you like it? Try, like, what did you like about it? This leads to deeper conversations and follow-up questions.
Because if you ask a question and you start it with, did you? Someone can literally, especially if they're a teenager, yes, no, without further explanation,
or
right?
even just nodding, or
or like just like a look, like.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Right. So a simple change in the wording, that does make sense. Like, what did you like about it? What did you dislike about it? What did you agree with?
Be more specific.
Yeah.
That leads to another conversation.
Yeah. All right. So any other tips that we should know about?
Okay. And reflect daily. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? Or what could I have done differently? Or why am I feeling this way? I mean, when something irritates you, you can ask yourself,
yes,
why am I so irritated? It's not life-threatening,
Why am I so irritated? Because it's you who's asking. No, I'm just kidding. It depends on the person who's asking.
It doesn't matter how old we are. We got to ask questions. We can always learn more about ourselves and grow.
Well, what about in our professional setting? Assuming that you work or we work, how can asking good questions improve our work? Because once again, we don't want to bother our colleagues with too many questions.
That's right.
If you have too many questions, then you might be bothering somebody. But some really thought-provoking or thoughtful questions.
Well, when you ask good questions, it encourages problem solving, collaboration, and critical thinking. In meetings, instead of just stating opinions, asking, what are we missing? How can we make this better?
Yes.
Is there any room for improvement? This leads to more productive discussions and ideations.
Yes. So true. I mean, I think this applies to just all relationships across the board. Instead of assuming what someone means, I think we can avoid a lot of miscommunication and hurt feelings if we ask
That's right.
Can you expand?
Yeah. And some people, they don't say anything unless they are asked. Right? So you got to encourage them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of use that one though. I try to say, can you explain further? I didn't quite catch it the first time. So I phrase it that way because I don't want the person whom I'm asking of, that person to feel what do you feel defensive?
Yeah, what do you want from me?
What do you mean? So I was kind of I didn't catch that. Can you explain?
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah.
Can I get further details? And always with a smile because
so you
to show
don't
them.
sound so aggressive.
Yeah. And I don't want that person to get all defensive and say,
this is not integration.
Yes.
Yeah. And better questions lead to better communication, which leads to better relationships.
Yes.
Whether it's at work, with family, or in personal growth. Questions open doors, but I don't know about teenagers. When they are asked too many questions, they might feel
they love the yes,
no question.
The nodding, the shaking of the head.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess the takeaway is, to stay curious, to ask questions.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, and try asking at least one meaningful question every day, and see what happens. That can be our task.
One meaningful question.
To yourself or to others?
Give us an example. Hit us with. I'm thinking of one for our producer right now.
Okay.
A meaningful question.
I'm meaningful question. These days, I ask myself. So self-reflection, I use it for.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Of asking yourself.
Why am I feeling this way?
You know what I've been using a lot these days? Because my goal for 2025, one of my resolutions was to cut down on like unnecessary spending. I ask myself for every item, and this goes for like,
need this?
do I need this? Why? What for? How many times am I going to use this?
Catherine, give me good reasons.
Like, is it absolutely necessary? No, really, I've been asking myself.
That's good.
These
That's
questions,
good.
And there are fewer things in my cart.
Can
my
I
online
afford
cart.
it?
Yeah, like do I have to worry about it next month when the bill comes?
That's so stressful, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Oh.
And so we're going to end it on that note. But thank you so much for such a good segment today. And we'll check in with you real soon.
Have a great day.
Bye, Jennifer.
Bye.
The question I have for a producer is this. The end song 금요일에 만나요 by IU is requested by Layla. 그러면 우리 진짜 목요일에 건너뛰고 금요일에 만나도 돼요? Can I skip a day? Oh, she says 네, okay. I'll be gone tomorrow. Just kidding. So enjoy the song and think of some meaningful questions you can ask of others or even of yourself. So have a good one. Bye, everybody.
화요일도 성급해 보이지 안 그래 수요일은 뭔가 어정쩡한 느낌 목요일은 그냥 내가 왠지 싫어 이번 주 금요일 금요일의 시간 어때요 주말까지 기다리긴 힘들어 시간아 달려라 시계로도 보채고 싶지만 마인 컨트롤가 달콤해 이 남자 도대체 뭐야 사랑에 빠지지 않고 못 빼기겠어 언제면 내 맘은 저기 시계 바로 위에 올랐다 한 칸씩 그대에게 더 가까이 이번 주 금요일 금요일의 시간 어때요 딱히 보고 싶은 영화는 없지만 딱히 먹고 싶은 메뉴는 없지만 주말까지 기다리긴 힘들어 시간아 달려라 시계로도 보채고 싶지만
새로운 다우니 건조기를 사용하면 섬유유연제 향기가 사라진다고요? 깜짝 놀라실 거예요. 다우니는 건조기를 사용한 후에도 향이 오래오래 그래서 입는 순간까지 다우니 7일간